Brought to you by Penguin.
When the Body Says No, by Gabor Maté. Narrated by Daniel Maté. It is not to see something first, but to establish solid connections between the previously known and the hitherto unknown that constitutes the essence of scientific discovery. It is this process of tying together which can best promote true understanding and real progress. Hans Selye, M.D., The Stress of Life. A note to the reader. People have always understood intuitively that mind and body are not separable. Modernity has brought with it an unfortunate dissociation, a split between what we know with our whole being and what our thinking mind accepts as truth. Of these two kinds of knowledge, the latter, narrower kind, most often wins out, to our loss. It is a pleasure and a privilege, therefore, to bring in front of the reader the findings of modern science that reaffirm the intuitions of age-old wisdom. That was my primary goal in writing this book. My other purpose was to hold up a mirror to our stress-driven society so that we may recognize how, in myriad unconscious ways, we help generate the illnesses that plague us. This is not a book of prescriptions, but I do hope it will serve its readers as a catalyst for personal transformation. Prescriptions come from the outside. Transformation occurs within. There are many books of simple prescriptions of one sort or another, physical, emotional, spiritual, that appear each year. It was not my intention to write yet one more. Prescriptions assume that something needs to be fixed. Transformation brings forth the healing, the coming to integrity, to wholeness, of what is already there. While advice and prescriptions may be useful, even more valuable to us is insight into ourselves and the workings of our minds and bodies. Insight, when inspired by the quest for truth, can promote transformation. For those seeking a healing message here, that message begins on page 1 with the very first case study. As the great physiologist Walter Cannon suggested, there is a wisdom in our bodies. I hope When the Body Says No will help people align with the inner wisdom we all possess. Some of the case examples in this book are derived from published biographies or autobiographies of well-known persons. The majority are taken from my clinical experience or from taped discussions with people who agreed to be interviewed and quoted regarding their medical and personal histories. For privacy reasons, names, and in some instances other circumstances, have been changed. To avoid making this work prohibitively academic for the lay reader, notes have been used only sparingly. References are provided for each chapter at the end of the book. Italics, unless otherwise noted, are mine. I welcome comments at the contact page of my website, drgabormate.com. Chapter 1. The Bermuda Triangle. Mary was a native woman in her early 40s, slight of stature, gentle and deferential in manner. She had been my patient for 8 years, along with her husband and 3 children. There was a shyness in her smile, a touch of self-deprecation. She laughed easily. When her ever-youthful face brightened, it was impossible not to respond in kind. My heart still warms and constricts with sorrow when I think of Mary. Mary and I had never talked much until the illness that was to take her life gave its first signals. The beginning seemed innocent enough. A sewing needle puncture wound on a fingertip failed over several months to heal. The problem was traced to Raynaud's phenomenon, in which the small arteries supplying the fingers are narrowed, depriving the tissues of oxygen. Gangrene can set in, and unfortunately this was the case for Mary. Despite several hospitalizations and surgical procedures, she was within a...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?